In this episode, I want to talk to you about what summer is going to look like on the World Language Classroom podcast. Now, I totally understand that most of us are on our summer break from school, so do you really want to be talking about school and listening to things about school all summer? Maybe not, but maybe so. But I don't want to go away for the entire summer and then show back up at the end of August and say, hey, let's jump back in and start talking about school. So in this episode, I want to talk to you about what the podcast is going to look like over the summer. So let's jump in. Are you a language teacher looking for some reassurance that what you're doing in the classroom is on the right track? Or maybe you're looking for some ways to teach even more effectively. If you're one or the other or somewhere in between, you've landed in the right place. This is the World Language Classroom podcast with your host, me, Joshua Cabral. You're about to get tips, tools, and resources so that your students continue to rise in proficiency and communicate with confidence. Let's jump in. Vamos, allons-y. Hello, my friends. Bonjour, mes amis. Hola, mis amigos. Welcome to the World Language Classroom podcast. I am Joshua, and thank you, as always, for being here. Take a second real quick. Make sure that you are liking, subscribing, whatever that app is asking you to do so that you get every episode on Monday of the podcast when they come out. So now let's talk about what this podcast is going to look like over the next 2 months or so, over the summer. So I'm well aware that you, like me, are probably on summer break, which means we're going to have 6 to 8 weeks of not being in the classroom. Depending on where you are, that's going to be different time frames. But it might be a time when you really want to step back from your teaching and recharge with family, friends, and doing other things. Maybe you have to work over the summer and do other types of work. And maybe it's a time when you can revisit some concepts about teaching and ideas about teaching, so that could work out for you as well. I'm using this term that I've totally made up, and it's Summer Headspace. So what is Summer Headspace? So for me, it is a time to reflect on things when I don't have so many pressing priorities and issues going on in my life, whether that's in my classroom, at school, and dealing with students and other teachers and all kinds of other things going on. So for me, this Summer Headspace is a time to think and reflect without other pressing priorities. That's, for me personally, it's this idea of a clear head. Now, we all have other things going on in our lives that have nothing to do with school, and I absolutely honor that, respect that, and recognize that. I'm there as well. But without the pressing issues of planning curriculum and figuring out what that lesson's going to be and having students right in front of us and answering to administration and all of that, we can put that aside at least for a couple of weeks, maybe 2 months, up to 2 months, depending on where you are. And during that time, we have a more clear head. So what I want to do with the podcast over the next 2 months or so is look back at episodes that happened throughout the last year. So there were 45 episodes. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to revisit some themes and episodes with a fresh lens. I'm going to do a 5-minute recap or revisit of a theme, and then I'm going to pull together 2 episodes on that theme that are sort of complementary to each other, and I'll put the links in the show notes to those 2 episodes. While you're doing this and you're listening to those episodes, maybe you heard the episode earlier in the year. Maybe you're listening to it for the first time. Maybe you're listening to it along with another episode that has complementary themes. And you might hear something that you missed the first time that you listened. You might catch something new. You might finish an episode that you started but didn't quite finish. You might listen to an episode for the first time, and something may have happened in your classroom. You've had a new experience since listening to that episode, and when you listen to it again, you'll have that new, fresh lens of what happened in your classroom. Throughout the summer, you can look for 5 to 7 minute episodes where I'll do a quick recap of a theme or representation of a theme, and then I will reference 2 episodes on that particular topic, and I will put the episode links in the show notes so that you can go back to listen to them. Again, you might be listening to them for the first time, or you might be listening to them for the second time or finishing it, and you'll have a different lens because you'll be in that summer headspace, and something may have happened in your classroom since with a new opportunity for you to listen to it in a new way. Throughout the summer, there will be about 8 of these Summer Headspace episodes. That's what I'm going to call them. So on August 22nd, you can start looking for some solo episodes on different teaching topics and interviews as well with teachers. Over the last year of the podcast, I've been doing 3 interviews a month and 1 solo episode. I'm going to be changing that a little bit for the next school year when we come back. And I'll be doing 2 interviews a month and 2 solo episodes. And I'll be really focusing on that idea of the teacher toolbox episodes with those low prep activities for your classroom, as well as looking at some specific things that we can be doing based on research and core practices along with teachers. But I'll also have 2 interviews a month. I'm also looking at the possibility of maybe doing some teacher coaching episodes. So if there is specifically a topic that you would personally like to learn more about, if you're looking to do something in your classroom or change the way you're doing something, but you want to have a conversation about it, we could have that conversation together, record it, and that might be a great episode for other teachers to listen to because they might be thinking about the same thing, and the questions you have and the conversation we have about it could be very helpful for them. So beginning on August 22nd with the new episodes, you can look for 2 interviews a month, 2 solo episodes, and possibly these coaching episodes as well as we go through the year. And reach out to me if you'd like to be involved with that. I'll put it out on Twitter asking as well. In the fall, I'm also going to dedicate about 4 episodes to Florencia Henshaw and Maris Hawkins' book, Common Ground, and looking at how we can use the information in that book in our classrooms. So you can look for that in the fall as well, along with these other episodes. But for the next 2 months, we'll have our Summer Headspace episodes with a different topic or theme each week, and there'll be 2 episodes that address that theme that I will put in the show notes so that you can link right to them and listen to them in your Summer Headspace. So you can listen to them in a new way, a fresh way, catch something you didn't the first time, or perhaps even be listening to it for the first time. So as you head off into the summer, I hope that you have an opportunity to recharge and spend time with friends and family, and also take some time here and there. Maybe if you're going to the beach or you're taking a walk somewhere or a hike, you might listen to a podcast episode that I do in the Summer Headspace and give some time to reflecting on what that might be when you don't have so many different priorities, maybe pulling you in different places. So be sure to check out the show notes of this episode even before then, where you'll see a link to sign up for Talking Points, my weekly email newsletter with tips and resources for language teaching. There'll also be a little bit of a hiatus on that over the summer because a lot of times teachers get it in their school email, and I don't want you to come back to 12 emails from me at the end of the summer. So I will be doing a hiatus on the newsletter throughout the summer. That will come back in August as well. But you'll also see links to get in touch with me in the show notes if you'd like to work together, either in person in your school or remotely. So I will see you in the Summer Headspace episodes. And again, have a wonderful summer, and we'll reconnect soon. Bye for now. You've been listening to the World Language Classroom podcast. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss a single episode. Let's continue the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at WL Classroom. You can also see over 250 blog posts about language teaching at, you guessed it, WLClassroom.com.